Hi, we are slowly getting closer to what we are supposed to be doing when we work in 3D, which is create images, right? In this module, we will see how this process called render is done, and we are also going to see how to place the camera and how to set the lamps. Although we will have a rather elementary view of these issues, this will be enough to demonstrate the great impact that they have on the visual results we obtain. We'll also see how to save the rendered images and how to do a basic analysis on them. In the next lesson, the next lesson, we will start introducing what is and how to control this process called render. So see you in a moment. Let's keep working in the same file with the cubic structure that we've already created. I suggest you to periodically save the changes following your progress. It's always a good practice. You can even save the changes in incremental different files, and you will have all the steps up to the current. Render is an English word that is used with an approximate meaning of calculation interpretation. In fact, in the render process, the lighting and geometry data in a three-dimensional space is interpreted to convert it in two-dimensional data under the format of an image, a set of pixels. The render is done from the camera point of view, usually. Every 3D software uses its own algorithms to do this 3D to 2D conversion process. This is part of its specificity and strength. There are even software which have just this sole purpose, to make the render calculation, and they don't have any other 3D editing capabilities. Those programs are called renderers, and usually they work as plugins for a host software. In Blender we have by default two different renderers available, and we can tell which one is used in the scene with this menu here. The Blender render, called internal in the Blender jargon, is the default and traditional one. Since some years ago, we can also use cycles, which is a lot more aligned with the current render technologies and hardware. We are going to use this to follow this course. The render context in the properties editor contains the parameters to take in account to do this process in the current scene. It's important to understand that each scene has its own render settings. Many of these parameters affect the way a render process is done and its result. By now, let's focus on the dimensions panel. Here we can set the size in pixels we want the rendered image to be. Just below there is a percentage multiplier used mainly to do render tests, which will be smaller in the proportion set here. Also, just to mention it, we can see the fields where the initial and final frame of the scene are set. In other panels, such as the sampling or light path ones, we can set more advanced parameters to give more quality to the calculation, so to avoid some problems we will see in a moment. Let's focus now on this button here at the upper side, which is labeled precisely render. When we click on it, one of the windows will switch to a UV image editor type and will show us the process during and the result when render is finished. If we want to go from this window to show the previous one, or vice versa, we can press F11. To cancel the render, just press Escape. Most of the times, though, we'll invoke the render process by its shortcut with F12. We can also store several renders in a temporary memory so we can compare easily between them. To do it, find at the bottom side of the render window a menu with the slot 1 label. We can choose another empty slot which will receive the image the next time we launch the render in the same scene. We can navigate as well between several temporarily stored images by using the numbers row in the keyboard from 1 to 8. Here we can see the result of doing a render with more samples and how the usual noise appearing when using cycles is significantly reduced.